Come on, Judy. Come on.
Hebrews. This is our non-Messianic channel. This is our Israelite Advanced Bible Study night, the 8th of August, 2023. Okay, we'll be dealing with the Book of Jubilees. I'm introducing this non-Messianic channel because, like I said, we see the strike on Powers of Awakening. We should be back on there, I think, on Thursday night. 7 days to be up. In the meantime, we'll be over here. This is a non-Messianic channel, and by that I mean we deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, and the Torah being the New Testament. The first 5 books of the Bible that was given to Moses by the Lord of Hosts. The books of the law. Okay, shalom and welcome to Prophets of Awakening, and welcome to our Advanced Bible Study night. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, Psalms. We're going to do some current events, a little need-to-know information. Then we'll open it up for Q&A, and we'll go into our topic for discussion, which is reading out the Book of Jubilees. Okay, so with that being said, just a moment of silence for the Lord of Hosts and all that He's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Okay. Oh Lord, we come before Thee at this time, thanking You for Your mercy and Your great power. We appreciate You, O Lord, for Your patience and guidance in all these last days. When we come before You, that You keep and direct and guide us through the upcoming week. Oh Lord, there is trials and pestilence and mayhem at every turn. And for this cause, we honor and respect You greatly. Turn not Thy face from us, but allow us in our searching of You to find You, O Lord, and dwell with You. Peace be on You. Okay. Read a song. Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to read Psalm 25. It's a prayer for guidance and protection. Psalm of David. Unto Thee, O Lord, do I lift up my soul. O my God, I trust in Thee. Let me not be ashamed. Let not my enemies triumph over me. Yea, let none that wait on Thee be ashamed. Let them be ashamed which transgress without cause. Show me Thy ways, O Lord. Teach me Thy paths. Lead me in Thy truth, and teach me, for Thou art the God of my salvation. On Thee do I wait all the day. Remember, O Lord, Thy tender mercies and Thy loving kindness, for they have been ever of old. Remember not the sins of my youth, nor my transgressions. According to Thy mercy, remember Thou me for Thy goodness' sake, O Lord. Good and upright is the Lord thereof. Will He teach sinners in the way? The meek will He guide in judgment, and the meek will He teach His way. All the paths of the Lord are mercy and truth unto such as keep His covenant and His testimony. For Thy name's sake, O Lord, pardon my iniquities, for it's great. What man is he that feareth the Lord? Him shall He teach in the way that he shall choose. His soul shall dwell at ease, and his seed shall inherit the earth. The secret of the Lord is, the secret of the Lord is with them that fear Him, and He will show them His covenant. Mine eyes are ever toward the Lord, for He shall put my feet out of the net. Okay? Turn Thee unto me, and have mercy upon me, for I am desolate and afflicted. The troubles of my heart, Okay. The troubles of my heart are enlarged, or bring thou me out of my distresses. Look upon my affliction and my pain, and forgive all my sins. And consider my enemies, for they are many, and they hate me with cruel hatred. O keep my soul and deliver me. Let me not be ashamed, for I put my trust in thee. Let the integrity and uprightness preserve me, for I wait on thee. Redeem Israel, O God, out of his troubles. Okay, so that was Psalms 25, and it's the prayer for guidance and protection by Israel Messiah David. Any comments on that? Okay, I just want to shine a light on David said in verse 6, remember, O Lord, thy tender mercies and thy loving kindness, for they have been ever of old. So what tender mercy are you talking about? If you go to Psalms 132, you'll see what they are. And like I said, once you know who his Messiah is, then it all adds up. So it says in verse 10 of Psalm 132, for thy servant David's sake, turn not away thy face from thy anointed. The Lord hath sworn unto David, he would not turn from it of the fruit of his body, though I sat upon thy throne. If thy children will keep my covenant and my testimony that I shall teach them, their children shall also sit upon my throne forevermore. So we see right here that these tender mercies right here, he's always gonna have a son on the throne out of David's lineage. And he said that if they do his laws and his commandments that Moses wrote down, and that David was taught, and that David taught Solomon, and it was passed on. If they keep those tender mercies or keep those laws, then he's gonna always have a special place for them uh, in Israel. Okay. So with that being said, we're gonna move on to some current events. Okay. Okay.
And how interesting developments are happening on the African continent, and definitely one of them is Niger. Now, Niger had a coup that happened, and the president of Niger was, removed, and the military leader placed in his place. And immediately when the coup happened and the new leader was installed, they definitely started to set their sights on France. Now, France, if you know, was the colonial power that was in West Africa. Supposedly, these West African countries got their freedom, but yet France really never left. They neo-colonized it. France gets a lot of resources from Niger. France gets uranium. Uranium helps power some of their power plants, I think up to 25% of their power plants. So while people in France got lights, 85% of people in Niger don't have electricity. I know in 2023, that's crazy, right? It is utterly crazy to hear that 85% of a country don't have electricity. But yet what could make their electricity is being taken and stolen and given to France so they can have their lights on. You understand? So the new people that came in said, nah, we about to stop all this. Gold is another thing that France is taking out of Niger. So they said, no, you're not getting no more gold, you're not getting no more uranium. Well, immediately, Emmanuel Macron got upset and making threats, talking about they are not hesitating to defend French interests. What interest you have in Niger? What interest? They have pushed out the military, but I want you to hear what this brother has to say about Niger. We're going to talk about some other things, other developments with that too. Let's get rolling.
France, a former colonizer, has threatened to retaliate if Nigerians go after French interests, they say. Now, look at it. This is a declaration of war. After killing our leaders, after killing more than 23 African leaders, France is saying that, it's declaring war, open war. My question to Black Africans is, are we at that point that Malcolm X advocated that they attack one, they attack us all? So Mali, Burkina Faso, Ghana, Nigeria, or Mauritania, are you going to stand by if France comes in the name of protecting its interests? But wait a minute, what are these interests? Our own resources, our Black African resources that we want to take over. All this that's going on in Niger, in Mali, in all other countries that have been coups, is a result of France having a hold still on Francophone countries. Matter of fact, all the Western countries are all reparations, still have a hold on us. So, as they did against Haiti, when Haiti freed slaves, they had to force Haiti to pay for freeing slaves. In the United States, when slaves were freed, they paid the slave master, those who own slaves. They did not give money to the free slaves. So right now, the court is, if France, which has declared war, that's a war, subtle war declaration, goes to Niger in the name of protecting its interests, will you stand by? As a Black African everywhere, all Black Africans everywhere, is it the US, is it in Britain, is it in France, is it in Belgium, is it in Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, Ethiopia, Mali, Senegal, Kenya, Tanzania, will you stand by? That is time for Choboy. No, this is our renaissance. You cannot continue to be doing this against Black people, against Black Africans, against people from God's melanin endowed people. So yeah, this is a Choboy moment. No, France, you owe reparations. All Western countries, you owe reparations. Pay up first.
So now in Niger, they are taking, they have taken the steps to say that, hey, all you Europeans, get your bags, you gotta go. All y'all, all your NGOs, all that, go. If you're not gonna leave from here, you're gonna get arrested. We told you to get you behind on out of this country. We don't want you here, we don't need you here. Why? You say, why is that? Because those so-called NGOs are covers for nefarious things. Okay? And a lot of brothers and sisters have figured a lot of that out. So in Niger, they pushing out the French military. They was attacking the French embassy. Your brothers and sisters not playing. So what was the response? Sad response, actually. We have Nigeria, okay, makes a response talking about, oh, well, if the president isn't reinstalled within 7 days, we're going to send troops. First of all, that president has been a stooge, a sellout. How is it you're a president of a nation and 85% of your people don't have power, and yet the thing that can make power for you, you letting France have it? Who wants that guy in leadership? I wouldn't if I was living in Niger, right? So this President Tinubu, the new guy, which in my opinion, I've said it before, when I seen Stacey Abrams talking about she's an international observer on an election, I'll say, oh boy, something about to go down. And sure enough, it did. This guy right here, he is nothing but another sellout lackey for the West. Why is it that he's even making threats against Niger? It's Niger's business. They're not attacking you. Number two, ECOWAS. Definitely disappointed in y'all. You sitting up here saying the same thing. So you gonna send troops to Niger. You gonna attack your brother for who? The folks? Now you wanna say, hey, let him come to our country. Oh, okay, you go. He can go do what you gotta do. But it's all about so France to keep getting these resources. You won't fight your brother. Now, I've seen some people on X, not Twitter no more, it's X, talking about, hey, Pan-Africanist, what y'all think about this? I'm like, some of y'all are so obsessed with talking about Pan-Africanists. I don't know why, because it's kind of silly. Most Pan-Africanists, they just believe that black people should work together worldwide. I mean, what is wrong with that? You know, you got black Americans don't want to work with each other. Okay, if they're selling out like that, they don't work with black people, don't mess with them. Work with the black people you do. Black people throughout the world, Africans, Caribbeans, Afro-Latinos, if they want to work together, you work with them. Well, I don't see what's so hard about understanding that concept. You know, I mean, it's kind of silly to me at this point. Do you? If you don't agree with it, just do your thing. But we know on the continent that some of these nations are straight sold out to the white supremacists. We know that. But this Niger situation is exposing the nations that are. You understand? All the nations that's threatening Niger right now, that should sell out nations. And the whole African continent, the Caribbean, those of us throughout the diaspora need to be put on notice and say, okay, if you go attack Niger, we immediately need to boycott you. Because they're fighting to get the white supremacists off their backs. And I'm with any country fighting to get the white supremacists off their backs. A black country. It is wrong.
Listen, paying $14.99 a month.
Okay. Anybody got any comments on that? Anybody keeping up with that? Okay. So, I mean, if you're not, I don't know if you're familiar with it or not, but it's a change that took place, and it's taking place in the midst of it all. Just like you see these people, that spirit of to fight back and overcome, then return to African continent. You can see it, and not only that, they had a big incident here in America along the same lines, which is the big brawl, they call it the Alabama brawl, that they had at the I think it's somewhere, Mobile, Birmingham, on the docks where these Montgomery, they jumped on a bunch of white folks jumped on his brother that was working on the docks. They jumped on him because he was trying to regulate, the boats, put them in where they're supposed to be at. They was in the wrong place. He was trying to get them to relocate, to move, so they can line everything up. And they jumped off the boat, came on the dock, and gained it. But they didn't know it was a bunch of other black folks watching. And these black folks came out of nowhere and beat them down. So, it ain't business as usual no more. It's Most High on the move. Lord of hosts. Like I said, it's on this side of the Atlantic and that side of the Atlantic. And everybody watching it. They see it. They see the whole world just, being chipped away. And they on the edge. Yeah, any comments? Okay. Okay.
The military junta in Niger.
Okay.
Just rejected U.S. overtures and mediation efforts. The first contact with the military junta by any U.S. official was made through the acting Deputy Secretary of State, Victoria Nuland. She didn't even meet the head of the military junta himself.
Instead, he sent another general to negotiate with her. But as you know, military guys are always stubborn. They refused all her overtures. They refused to set a timeline to return to democracy. They refused, they please, not to deal with Russia. Although they understand the risk of involving the Wagner forces in Niger, but for now, they are not even thinking of any consequence. What they are focused on is they want to maintain power. This is why it is very necessary for the US to always speak out before any coup happens, to always condemn repressive dictators in civilian garb. This is because these guys and their repressive antics against oppositions and human rights abuses are the major reason people are losing faith in democracy in Africa. Also, the lack of democratic dividends plays a major role. How can people be saying they're practicing democracy but they don't gain anything from it? The lack of good governance, lack of jobs, massive unemployment, and insecurity, these are things that make people to lose hope. They will support any change, whether it's military coup or anything, just to get out of the status quo. Not that forceful takeover of government is good. No, it is condemnable. In fact, it takes the country backwards instead of forwards. But it's a result of something. It's a cause and effect. If there was good governance in these countries where we have seen military coups in the past, they wouldn't have even ventured to forcefully take over the government. So the United States can start by changing their policy towards Africans. For instance, in Mali, there was an election. That election was flawed and lacked integrity. No one talked about it. Even their constitutional court approved the heist that they call election. What happened after? The military boys forcefully took over power. This same thing happened in Guinea. There was an election that was flawed, but their constitutional court also approved and authorized that election. A few months later, the military struck. So the double standards of the United States is very clear. In the streets of many African countries, the United States have lost a lot of credibility. No one takes them seriously. They see the double standards. Why don't the United States take it seriously like they do in their own country? Look at the way the United States reacted to the January 6th invasion of Congress. Many have been jailed for their involvement in the invasion of the Congress. They have also held a lot of hearings in the Congress. So they don't use the same energy on African leaders who violate the rules of democracy. Yes, Newland made it clear that they will not send aid to a military government, that they are withdrawing all assistance, even military assistance. But these guys don't care. That's why they are military boys in the first place. What they care about now is holding on to power. Whether they will form a transitional government to get back to democracy quickly enough, they will decide that in the future. But right now, their preoccupation is to hold on as long as possible. The same way the United States didn't strongly condemn what happened in Guinea during their elections and also in Mali, it's the same way they didn't strongly condemn what happened in Nigeria during the presidential election. The presidential election in Nigeria was the worst in Nigeria's recent history. Despite the approval of use of technology, Nigeria's Electoral Commission abandoned the use of technology to transmit the results live, which enabled Tinubu and his party to rig the election in their favor. The US government can't say they are not aware of this. They also sent observers who, of course, would have made their reports known, just like the EU did when they released their report. It was exactly the same thing that many observers said. Even local Nigerian observers, they said the same thing. Up till now, they've never made any statement condemning what happened during the election. In fact, they quickly congratulated him. Of course, Biden didn't congratulate him directly.
So yesterday was they gave the people in Nigeria they gave them till Sunday, which was yesterday, to replace to put the regular government that was there in place, put them back, and they ain't done it yet. So we're gonna see what's gonna happen, and how it's gonna play out. Like the guy was saying, it's everybody being called out. You find out who's who now, because you have so many people like over here in America. They been hiding behind these masks, and there's never been nothing really happened to bring them out in the open, expose them. But them days over with. Everybody going to be called out because of the chain of events that's taking place. Okay. Any comments? Okay. Got some meeting. Somebody got a comment? Got some need to know information right here.
Tensions are also rising in the Gulf. The United States has deployed soldiers to the region, around 3,000 soldiers to be precise. They arrived on board 2 warships on Sunday, the USS Bataan and the USS Carter Hall. One is an amphibious assault ship, the other is used for dock landing. Both vessels sailed into the Red Sea on Sunday. But what are they doing there? Countering Iranian aggression. Iran has been capturing oil tankers in the Gulf. How many? Around 20 in the last 2 years, according to Washington. So the US and its allies are worried. Oil prices are already high. The last thing they want is a tanker seizure. So what did Joe Biden do? He flexed his military muscles. He sent thousands of soldiers and multiple fighter jets to the region. Reports say the plan is to escort commercial tankers. How does that work? You deploy US Marines or soldiers on these ships. You raise the stakes for Iran. If they seize or attack these tankers, they could hurt American troops or worse, kill them. So the hope is that the escort will deter Tehran. And what is Tehran saying? Their foreign minister says the deployment is unnecessary and the Gulf nations can protect themselves.
So that's all because the US military presence in the region has never been meant for maintaining security. Instead, their aim has always been to exacerbate its security and its stability. Therefore, Iran's position is very clear. We believe in Gulf countries' ability to provide security for themselves and to design a collective security pattern without the presence of foreign troops.
Iran is not backing down. In fact, they're expanding their arsenal. The Iranian Navy has been equipped with a new missile. It's called the Abu Mahdi. It has a range of 1,000 kilometers. The latest showdown has massive implications, both for the US and for the rest of the world. The region we're talking about is this, the Strait of Hormuz. It is 39 kilometers long. It is a choke point between the Gulf of Oman and the Persian Gulf. And why is it important? Because 20% of the world's oil passes through this strait. 20%. If there is fighting in Hormuz, all of us will feel the pinch. Iran knows this. They capture oil tankers for 2 reasons. One is tit for tat. The US often captures tankers containing sanctioned Iranian oil. When that happens, Tehran responds. The second reason is to put political pressure. We know how important oil prices are. Iran weaponizes this to gain concessions. They're doing that. Are they doing that now is the question. It's certainly a possibility. There was talk of an intermediate nuclear deal between Iran and the US. Maybe Tehran is angling for better terms. And if they are, it is the perfect time to do this. America's attention and resources are spread thin. They have a war in Eastern Europe. You have China knocking on Taiwan's doors. So Joe Biden has a lot on his plate. Plus, the American public is tired of West Asian wars. The US military largely pulled out of the region under Donald Trump. Their last carrier left West Asia in November 2020. The last Marine unit was pulled out in 2021. So it was the right time to test Biden's resolve. Would he re-enter the region or not? And this time he's decided to order massive deployments. It's definitely a signal of intent. You don't deploy 3,000 soldiers and fighter jets if you're half-hearted. Just one question. Why? Biden has a re-election next year. Why would he risk being dragged into West Asia again? Reports say his allies want him to do this. Saudi Arabia and the UAE have been cozying up to China. Biden needs to offer them something that China cannot, and that something is security. Safe passage for oil tankers. Where does that leave West Asia? In a more tense situation, certainly. The more deployments you have, the higher the risk of conflict. That's what happened in the 1980s, remember? Iran and the US were engaged in a tanker war. In 1988, the US attacked Iranian oil rigs. They also sank multiple ships. It was the largest US naval battle since the Second World War. My point is very simple. Risks are higher, but China and Russia will be enjoying this. More attention in West Asia means less attention in the Pacific or in Eastern Europe. It's something Joe Biden should be wary of. This.
Okay. Any comments on that? Joe Biden sent 3,000 troops to the Middle East. I don't know if anybody knew that or not. There's so much. They have so much going on. Okay. This is Sunday. They got a deadline for the coup in Nigeria was yesterday. So all this was happened yesterday. Okay, so with that being said, I'm gonna open it up. If anybody have any questions about anything, comments, they want to talk about, dialogue, something they come across when they searching.
No, sir, not at this time.
Shalom, everyone. Brother Leonard, I wanted to talk about not knowing if, everybody know about they're closing more Tyson chicken plants, right? And I was just reading last week, I had mentioned about, they really approving this lab chicken, right?
Okay.
So, yeah, and, they're closing, I think it's four right now. And they did also close some at the beginning of the year, right? So the ones that they're closing is going to be in Arkansas, Indiana, and Missouri, right? And
Okay.
the reason why they're saying that they're closing these plants is because they saying that um, the hit as pork and chicken prices fall and a shrinking supply of cattle results, right? So they're saying it's a shortage of cattle and all this other stuff, right? And chicken is not selling good like it used to, and Tyson is taking a loss. They're not making as much revenue as they used to. So I think it's all because they're really trying to put this lab chicken out there. So we just have to be careful, when it comes to that, because they have approved for the restaurants to start selling it.
Okay. Right. Yeah. Cause and effect.
Yes,
So
sir.
they have another thing that goes along with that is they got videos out there on it too. Was all these meat processing plants being burned up and exploded.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So it's that's what it is. It's all people they claim what they got planned.
That's very scary.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yes, it
It's gonna get
is.
ugly. A lot of people not people not paying attention to what's going on, but it's gonna get ugly because these people they in the midst of they greed, and so they see that they've made money hand over fist, even from the transatlantic slave trade, the money they made that wasn't enough. And they came with this system they got in place now. I think it tied to Bretton Woods, and now they got another plan to make even more money and impress the people even more. And that's what they're getting ready to bring about. They got to cause chaos and desolation and starvation and all that in order to bring it in. Same way I was telling you about what they done with Hitler. They used Hitler to tie the whole world up, and then they
Yes,
came and built it back up. They on the same. They on it again, but this time they got AI and all that tied to it.
yes, sir. And then especially them with the pig heart, they putting it inside of humans now, so a human can have a pig heart to live.
Okay, is this something?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I made a statement. I keep bringing that up, mentioning how, and a lot of people don't really know the ramifications of it. But I was talking about the hatred. So we know that uh, the time of the Gentiles is four beasts Daniel prophesied about, which is, Babylonians, the Medes and Persians, and then the Greeks and the Romans. The Greeks and the Romans, if you go to Genesis chapter 10, they Gentiles. So the third and fourth beast is Gentiles. That's time of the Gentiles. When those four, when they rise and fall, is when Israel come back on the scene again. Most I return to this to this planet and start restoring order and bringing Israel back and putting it back in their place. But I was so this decision that was made in the garden when the two boys, Cain and Abel, came up to the altar to make their offerings. Lord of hosts refused Cain because of who Cain was. Cain was the seed of the serpent, so he refused. But he didn't want nothing from him, so he cast him out, put him out of the garden. But Cain developed a hatred, killed his brother, and developed a hatred for Adam's descendants. So those two people at the time of the fourth beast, when the Romans came on the scene, and pretty much the third beast too, Edom hated Jacob. So that hatred is in full blown, and excuse me, it's full blown in Ezekiel 35. That's the hatred that we see on the earth now for us. And so Most High getting ready to deal with that. And so when you see they don't want the black man, which is the Israelite man especially, he's the custodian of the planet. And so they're not going to give him no kind of opportunity to stand up and say nothing. And if he do, they blood started boiling. And so I've been showing you how Putin, that's what he knows that. And he got all these African leaders, he lighting the fire upon them, he's backing them up, and they starting to speak out. And the guy, I told you about the guy, which is really a lot behind this Niger thing was Munafasa, I can't say his name right. He's the one that most Russia and China got coordinating this BRICS conference they just had. He coordinated he presided over the African continent, Russian and African thing they just had. And so he was talking and pretty much talking down and disciplining a lot of these European countries. And Macron, which is over France, was one of them. He pretty much scolded him. And right after that is when this happened with Niger. So that's what a lot of this is about. So just like I told you about the incident in Alabama, the brother was his job was to direct things. He had some authority. And those rednecks they can't handle that. When the brother was telling them they had to move their boat, they had to do something with it. They don't want to hear that. A black man can't tell them nothing. So they ended up jumping on him, and like I said, they got a rude awakening. It's a lot gonna come out of there anyway. So you got all these different African leaders standing up, talking, even population, the regular citizens in Africa, they rising up. So I'm gonna play this right here before I go into the reading out the Book of Jubilees. This guy is out of Eritrea, and he's speaking on behalf of Putin. Putin there with him. And so look what I want to hear some of the stuff he's saying. And Putin, he using this. It's like the same way Lord of hosts did with Pharaoh. Tricked him out into the middle of the Red Sea, they drowned him. Okay.
When people talk about Russia, Ukraine, I say there is no Russia, Ukraine war at all. There is no Russia.
So what you have to understand, from their perspective, black men ain't got shit to say about world affairs. Ukraine, you better not say nothing. And same thing, within the church. As long as he with his people, he can talk, but you get around a whole bunch of white folks, you don't have shit to say about the scripture. You don't know nothing about the scripture. If you do, they're gonna shut him up or embarrass him. So anyway.
Ukraine conflict. They say war declared by NATO on Russia. The war declared by NATO on Russia is
they all got their
only
heads
for
down.
Russia. It's for dominating
They don't want to hear shit he got to say.
It's for hegemony. This is an agenda developed after the end of the Cold War. They came up with this fantasy about containing Russia, containing any power, small, big, that challenge them technology. economically, socially, culturally. They have to contain everybody. This defunct ideology is a defunct ideology. I say Russia did not do its preparation to face this declared war. Even though Russia was aware about the dynamics of what was going on, NATO is defunct. NATO does not exist. NATO is under intensive care. EU does not exist. EU is under intensive care. Now, 30 years ago, when they decided to contain Russia, they felt that was the major threat for them. China was not considered a threat at that time. Now they know. They missed the point. They couldn't contain Russia. They will never contain Russia. Ukraine is a sacrifice. Ukraine is a price.
Okay.
The digital dollar is coming and could be used to.
So like I said before, they being baited, just like they did us. Let me play some more of this. Got about 3 or 4 more minutes. So just like they baited us, tricked us, shoot on the other foot now. Like they say, there's no fun when a rabbit got the gun. Okay. So here we go.
Is a price they have to pay. They will not pay on their own. They will provide billions and billions, even trillions, to continue this war. And now we need to have the narrative straight. This is not war between Russia and Ukraine. This is declared war against Russia because Russia was the major threat at the time. Now they can't dominate the whole world. They have to defeat Russia so that they hegemonize everything. No one should be very equal technologically, militarily they have to be superior, economically they have to control everything, grab every resource here and there, technology under their control. That dream is no more. Now we're fighting war in Ukraine. It's a battleground. That battleground is a sacrifice for them. And we need to put this straight on the record. When a big meeting like this, Russia, Africa is held, people will have to come to a consensus. This is not war between Russia and Ukraine, to me. And anyone who has a different explanation will have to tell me. This is war declared on Russia, but declared war for hegemony. The last 30 years, we have seen the details of the mechanics of this declared war. This last event is the final phase to me. It will end sometime. NATO will not get out of intensive care. EU will not get out of intensive care. These are systems that are crumbling. It's only a matter of time. And the whole world will have to be prepared, not to defend Russia, but stand with Russia so that this hegemonistic idea will not prevail at any point in time, Minister. How do we design a plan? How do we fail this one without any further cost? They are printing money. They are not manufacturing anything at all. It's printing money. And this has been one of their weapons globally. The monetary system, the global monetary system, controlled by dollar and euro, has been used. Sanctions here, sanctions there, sanctions there, grabbing this account, grabbing that account, has been one of their tools. This is not going to continue indefinitely. And we need a new financial architecture globally, not controlled by euro, not controlled by the dollar, not controlled by other currencies. To me, this failure of the attempt to contain Russia will immediately move to the east. Containing China is their next agenda. They may be playing a very deceptive tactic on trying to tell everyone, oh no, we have to work with China, we have to do this and that. Their miscalculation about China has proved to be wrong. My friend, probably they have the technology, they have everything. The Chinese can only copy. They will never equal them. So they will contain Russia, but make friendship with China and continue taking advantage of that so that containing Russia will be easier for them to do. Now China is out of control. Containing China from Taiwan, from India, from Japan, from South Korea, from Australia. How do they do it? How will they do it? Now challenge is coming next, but first they need to deal with Russia. How are they going to deal with Russia and then next move to China? How can they deal with everybody? How do they contain us? Imagine this time Eritrea is being contained by them. We're being punished with their sanctions every time. We have to be punished because we're not bowing. We're not bowing to their conditionalities. We're a very small threat. We are not even a threat to them. But they have to contain us. Sanctions.
Okay. See what I mean? And that's like a ticking time bomb. You know, black men get up and start talking like that, and they all there. They got to sit there, and they got to listen to it because of who Russia and China is in charge. They put them there. Yeah. So this thing is just getting thicker and thicker. It's gonna get away here in a minute, and when it do, all hell gonna break loose. Okay. Any comments before we go into the reading out of, I'm gonna read out of Jubilees. Everybody good? Okay. Yeah, so I'll give you a little history on this. Like I said, a lot of people not familiar with it. I mean, I don't know if it's been laid out or whatever, but on Mount Sinai, Moses was only a certain amount of years old. We know he came on the scene when the Pharaoh was killing the little boys, 2 years and younger. And so when Moses came on the scene, he was raised in the Pharaoh's house. Then he was ran out at 40 years old. And then brought a host. He ran head on to the Lord of hosts on Mount Horeb, and that's where he gave him his instructions. But they say that in my introduction on Prophets of Awakening and on this channel, when I say that Moses received Moses received the Torah, which is the first 5 books, the books of the law, which is the first 5 books of the Bible, Genesis, Deuteronomy, Exodus, Joshua, those books. He received that. But you say what did Moses got to do with Genesis, the creation story? Well, when you understand what the Godhead is, Most High, Yahweh created. In the beginning, it was Him, the self-existing one. He's a consuming fire. That's in Genesis. You want to find out what He looked like? It's in Genesis Ezekiel chapter 1, verses 26, 27, 28. He's a consuming fire. He's shaped like a silhouette of a man, but there's no flesh, nothing on him. He's a consuming fire. And nobody can come up to him. At that fire, reach out and burn you up. You can't deal with flesh. It's just the way it is. So that's why He created these 7 angels. But so He created Michael first. And that's who doing His bidding. Just like example is when Nebuchadnezzar came to destroy Jerusalem. He set up his pavilion in Languish. And that was it. Nebuchadnezzar was doing all the dirty work. Nebuchadnezzar, the one burned all the king, burned the king house, burnt the temple, and burned all the hierarchy of Jerusalem houses. The strong one burned it down. Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuzaradan. Nebuchadnezzar in this, and he got a strong one, which is Nebuzaradan. He got his name. His name is in him, similar. Just like with Yahweh. Michael means he who is like Yahweh. He operate like Yahweh. And if you don't know that, you think it's the same being, but it's two different beings. It's like he who create. The example was both of them was there in the beginning. He said, make light. Michael made the light. He's talking to somebody. Do this, and he do that. That's why it's saying, let us make man in our image. And that's being tricked out. Even on Mount Sinai, when he said, I showed you in Ezekiel chapter 1, when the cloud came. The cloud came. Yahweh ain't the only one in the cloud. This is the brightness that they see shining and breaking through the cloud. That's him. Because later on in that chapter, they tell you where the glares coming out of the cloud is like amber, which is a color from fire. That's him. And then it tells you over the four angels' head was a throne. He on the throne. Right? He the one causing the glare to busting the fire and the rays shooting out of the cloud. So that same cloud came down on top of Mount Sinai. Who in it? It ain't just him. These four angels in it. So we saw how he lit on the bush. Oh, the angel of Lord lit on the bush at the flaming fire. So when they was on Mount Sinai, and they show you the story when you watch the movie with and like I say, these people do their research. So and when they come up with these special effects and all that, they're trying to make it as real as possible with the technology they have. So we saw with this blockbuster movie they made with Charlton Heston in it, the Ten Commandments, when Charlton Heston was up on the mountain, this fire came. Consuming fire came like a whirlwind returning, and then he told he was talking to Moses, and then he said he gave him the Ten Commandments, and he shot the fire over there and burnt out these two tablets, and then he gave him the first commandment, burned that up, burned it into the stone, and then he burned all 10 commandments. Then he told Moses to get it. So that's the Lord of hosts. So you say, what are you talking about? He told him, Yahweh told him that this great fire that you see, you ain't talking about him. You're talking about the Lord of hosts. That's who lit on the bush. This great fire you see, we saw when they came out of Egypt. The fire, Michael, Yahweh in the cloud, but it's a fire leading them. That's Michael. He said when Pharaoh started advancing on the Israelites, he moved from the front and went around to the back. That's the same fire that was on Mount Sinai, the Lord of hosts. He's doing all the dirty work, but if you don't know no better, you think it's Yahweh. So he's doing all the dirty work. And we ain't getting it. So anyway, the reason why the first 5 books of the Old Testament, the law is attributed to Moses is because on Mount Sinai, those 40 days and 40 nights, the Lord of hosts taught Moses. Like he taught David. He taught Moses, he gave Moses. Moses wasn't there, but he was there. He's an eternal being. That's what Jubilees is. It's our history as Israelites broken down in Jubilees, which is 50 years increments. That's how the angels keep time. 7 times 7, 7 years, 7 weaker years times 7, 49. Then the Jubilee year, 50 years. That's how they keep time. So he broke that down. He broke all that down. He went back and gave Moses all that information. And that's why the first 5 books is attributed to Moses. And Moses broke down. So we're going with that understanding, it's more prevalent in the Book of Jubilees than it is in they don't want you to know all this in the Old Testament. I mean, in the King James, Bacon. They got Bacon to write that out. You wouldn't. They want you to know that. Give you another take on it. But we're gonna see everything I'm saying. You can see it in when I started reading out of the Book of Jubilees. It's also called the Little Genesis, and it's called also the Apocrypha of Moses, and that's the reason why it's called the Apocrypha of Moses, because Lord of hosts gave it to Moses, you know, and he wrote it all down. So it says, I'm in Jubilees chapter 1. It happened right here. Check it out. It happened in the first year of the Exodus. What happened when he got these 5 books? It happened in the first year of the Exodus of the children of Israel out of Egypt, in the 3rd month, in the 16th day of the month, that God spake unto Moses. See that? That ain't Yahweh. You know what I'm saying? This ain't God, Yahweh, the Lord of hosts. Spake unto Moses, saying, come up to me on the mountain, right? It's the angels on mountains, not Yahweh. And I will give you tablets of stone of the law and the commandments which I have written. See that? And all this I told you in the movie. They did their research. It says, which I have written, that you may teach them, right? So he taught Moses for Moses to teach them, like he taught David, for David to teach them. He taught Abraham. So anyway, verse 2, Moses went up into the mountain of God, and the glory of the Lord rested on Mount Sinai, and a cloud overshadowed it. Okay, keep going. And it says, he called to Moses on the 7th day out of the middle of the cloud, and the appearance of the glory of the Lord was like a flame on top of the mountain. That's back to what I was telling you in Ezekiel 1. That glare, shooting through the cloud. They know there's something in that cloud, right? But that cloud there for a reason, because like I say, you don't want to find yourself in front of the Lord Yahweh. You know, you ain't gonna make it. So, verse 4: Moses was on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights, and God taught him the earlier and the latter history. That's what I just told you. Moses was on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights, and God taught him the earlier and the latter history of the division of the days. That's the Jubilees of the law and the testimony. That's the law. That's the first 5 books right here. We see it. So I'm just making it plain. So we taught him all that. That's just the Torah. First 5 books. 5. He said, open your heart and to every word which I shall speak to you on this mountain, and write them in a book, in order that their generations may see how I have not forsaken them for all the evil which they have committed when they transgressed the covenant which I established between me and you for their generations this day on Mount Sinai. So let's look at this, because this is humongous. Verse 5 says, the Lord of hosts talking. He said, oh, this is how you receive right here, in case you've been fumbling with it. 5, he said, open your heart. Open your heart to every word which I shall speak to you on this mountain, and write it in a book, in order that their generations may see how I have not forsaken them for all the evil which they have committed when they transgressed the covenant. So, okay, let's look at this. When they transgressed the covenant which I established between me and you. See that? Not Israel, but the Lord of hosts and Moses. He says that I established between me and you, Moses. See that? Okay. So he said between me and you. See that? For their generations this day on Mount Sinai. So let's look at that. I want to give you a friendly reminder. He said the covenant, right? So we go to Judges right quick, make this plain. Chapter 3 says, Judges chapter 2, verse 1. The angel of the Lord came up from Gilgal to Beckham and said, I made you to go up out of Egypt, this angel, and I have brought you into the land which I swore to your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So that's who's dealing with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, this angel. And I said, I will never break my covenant with you. So the angel got the covenant. That's him talking to Moses, not Yahweh. Okay, so let's go back. So it says, verse 5, and he said, open your heart to every word which I shall speak to you on this mountain. Write them in a book, in order that their generations may see I have not forsaken them for all the evil which they have committed when they transgressed the covenant. We just saw who got the covenant, which I established between me and you, Moses, for their generations this day on Mount Sinai. It will come to pass when all these things come on them that they will recognize that I am more righteous than they in all their judgments and in all their actions, and they will recognize that I have truly been with them. So what are you talking about? Verse 6. It will come to pass when all these things shall come upon them. What are you talking about? So this, I brought this up before. I don't know if it registered or affirmated or whatever, but Deuteronomy 32. Let's go to Deuteronomy 32 right quick. So I told you, Deuteronomy 32 is a song, right? Let me see. Yeah, so this is a song of Moses, Deuteronomy 32. So Moses sung this to the Israelites. He says, give ear, O ye heavens, that I will speak, and hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. Remember what he just told me? Open up your heart. And so he gave Moses all that, everything he was going to do. So you got to go read that 32 on your own. So Moses, all that's a prophecy. Everything they're going to do to Israel, then he's going to run them out of the land. So that's what he's talking about right here in verse 6. It will come to pass when all these things, Deuteronomy 32, all these things come upon them that they will recognize that I am more righteous than they in all their judgments and in all their statutes, and they will recognize that I have truly been with them. Write all these words for yourself. See that? For Moses. You're talking to Moses. Write all these words for yourself, which I speak to you today. And I know their rebellion and their stubbornness before I brought them into the land which I swore to their fathers, to Abraham and to Isaac and to Jacob, saying, under your offspring will I give a land flowing with milk and honey. They will eat, check it out, they will eat and be satisfied, and they will turn to strange gods, the gods that cannot deliver them from any of their tribulations. And this witness shall be heard for a witness against them, and they will forget all my commandments, even all that I command them, and they will walk in the ways of the Gentiles. Third beast. Like I said, go back to Genesis chapter 10. He tells you these are the isles of the Gentiles. Japhet. Ham ain't no Gentile, and Shem ain't no Gentile. The Medes and Persians ain't no Gentiles. The Babylonians ain't no Gentiles. The third beast is the Gentiles. That's why Antioch Epiphanes came. He the Antichrist. The third beast is Japhet, which is Cain's descendants. 10, many will perish, and they will be taken captive and will fall into the hands of the enemy. We're going to see who that enemy is, because they have forsaken my laws and my commandments and the festivals of my covenant and my Sabbaths and my holy place, which I have made holy for myself in their presence, and my tabernacle and my sanctuary, which I have made holy for myself in the midst of the land, that I should set my name on it, that it should reside there. They will make themselves high places and places of worship and graven images. It's angels in the mountains. That's what a high place is. They got to go up in the mountains to worship these angels. That's where they at. That's what a high place is. So thus they will go astray. They will sacrifice their children to demons, and also in all error of their hearts can work. I will send witnesses to them that I may testify against them, but they will not hear. They will kill the witnesses. They will persecute those who seek the law, and they will abolish and change everything. It's right here in your face. They're gonna kill who the witnesses are. The prophets, the seers, the Levites are the witnesses. It says, and they will persecute those who seek the law, and they will abolish, change everything in the law, so as to work evil before my eyes. That's what we're looking at. I will hide my face from them. I will deliver them into the hands of the Gentiles. They go to the enemy. Third and fourth beast. I will establish, says, I will hide my face from them, and I will deliver them into the hands of the Gentiles. They will be captured like prey for their eating, and I will remove them from out of the land, and I will scatter them among the Gentiles. So, third beast. And go with another example. What I'm telling you, when the third beast came, Antiochus, that's when he removed them out of the land. Okay, and they will forget my law and all my commandments and all my judgments. They will go astray regarding the observance of new moons, Sabbaths, and festivals, and jubilees and laws. After this, they will turn to me from among the Gentiles, and with all their heart, and with all their soul, and with all their strength. Okay, there we go. See that? Let's look at that again, because we're looking at it now. After this, they will turn to me from among the Gentiles with all their heart, and with all their soul, and with all their strength. That's what we see returning. What we saw in Alabama, and what we see right here with these African leaders. He didn't say they was going to return weak. They're going to return the same way they was back in the day when they had all their strength. It says, and I will gather them from among the Gentiles, and they will seek me, and they shall be found, and I shall be found by them, and they shall seek me with all their heart and with all their soul. So notice he's gonna return their hearts and their soul and their strength, and then he's gonna gather them. We're gonna turn them the way they was, then regather them. Okay, so when I'm looking at that, I see beat down in that. Anyway, verse 16 says, I will allow them to see abounding peace with righteousness. I will remove them, the plants of uprightness, and all my part, and with all my soul, and they shall be for a blessing and not for a curse, and they shall be the head and not the tail. I will build my sanctuary among them, and I will dwell with them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people in truth and in righteousness. And I will not forsake them nor fail them, for I am the Lord their God. Moses fell on his face and prayed and said, O Lord, my God, do not forsake your people and your inheritance, so that they should wander in the error of their hearts, and do not deliver them into the hands of their enemies, the Gentiles. I'll tell you what the enemy is right here. Gentiles. Go to Genesis chapter 10. So that they should rule over them and cause them to sin against you. So if you're among the Gentiles, they didn't cause you to sin against, they didn't cause us to sin against him. How? Another God. They gave us another God. Causing us, so even in your thoughts, sin against the Lord of hosts. 20. Let your mercy, O Lord, be lifted up on your people, and create in them an upright spirit, and let not the spirit of Baal rule over them, to accuse them before you, and to ensnare them from all the paths of righteousness, so that they may perish from before your face. So, like I said, Moses sung all this in a song and told them, you go read it in Deuteronomy 32. All this is going to happen, right? So what I want to shine a light on is this. Because it's simple. He says in verse 20, let your mercy, O Lord, be lifted up upon your people. Well, first of all, in verse 19, Moses fell on his face. When he saw all that the Lord going to do to them and what's going to befall them, Moses fell on his face and prayed and said, oh, Lord, my God, do not forsake your people and your inheritance, so that they should wander in the error of their heart. That's where we at. And do not deliver them into the hands of the Gentiles. That's where we at. So that they should rule over them and cause them to sin against you. That's where we at. That's why he fell on his face, because he saw all this. So then, this is the point. If you try to make JC work, 20, let your mercy, O Lord, be lifted up upon your people, and create in them an upright spirit, and let not the spirit of Baal rule over them, to accuse them before you. And check this out, and to ensnare them from all the paths of righteousness, so that they may be perishing before your face. So that's where we at. So he said the Gentiles gonna come kick us out of the land, and then they was gonna cause us to be removed from all the paths of righteousness, and he gonna hide his face from us. That happened when Antiochus came. So how in the hell, who was JC? This already happened. Moses sung it, and it already happened, took place. Who was JC? Okay, 21. But they are your people and your inheritance, which you have delivered with your great power from the hands of the Egyptians, creating them a clean heart and a Holy Spirit, and let them not be ensnared in the sins from now on until eternity. And the Lord said to Moses, I know their contrariness and their thoughts and their stubbornness, and they will not be obedient until they confess their own sins and the sins of their fathers. After this, they will turn to me in all uprightness and with all their heart and with all their soul. And I will circumcise the foreskin of their heart and the foreskin of their heart of their offspring, and I will create in them an Holy Spirit, and I will cleanse them so that they shall not turn again from me from that day until eternity. And their soul shall cling to me and all my commandments, and they will fulfill my commandments, and I will be their father, and they shall be my children. They are all they all shall be called children of the living God. And every angel and every spirit shall know, yes, they shall know that these are my children, and that I am their father in uprightness and in righteousness, and that I love them. Write down for yourself. There you go again. Write down for yourself all these words which I have say to you on this mountain. For the first to the last, which shall come to pass in all the division of days, the jubilees, days in the law, and in the testimony, and in the weeks, and in the jubilees to eternity, until I ascend and dwell with them throughout eternity. He said to the angel of the presence of the Lord, write for Moses, from the beginning of the creation until my sanctuary has been built among them for all eternity. And the Lord will appear to the eyes of all, and all shall know that I am the God of Israel, and the father of all the children of Jacob, and king on Mount Zion for eternity. And Zion and Jerusalem shall be holy. The angel of the presence of the Lord, who went before the camp of Israel, took the tablets of the division of years written from the time of the creation concerning the law and the testimony of the week of Jubilees, according to the individual years and according to the number of all the Jubilees, from the day of the new creation, when the heavens and the earth shall be renewed, and all the creation according to the powers of heaven, and according to all the creation of the earth, until the sanctuary of the Lord shall be made in Jerusalem among Zion, and all the stars and planets be renewed for healing and peace and blessings for all the elect of Israel. And this is the way it may be from that day until all the days of the earth. So that was chapter 1. Any comments? Okay, no comments. I'll read one more chapter, chapter 2. Okay, it says, the angel of the presence of the Lord spoke to Moses according to the words of the Lord, saying, write the complete history of the creation, how in 6 days the Lord God finished all his work and all that he had created, and kept Sabbath on the seventh day, and made it holy for all ages, and appointed it as a sign for all his works. For on the first day he created the heavens which are above, and the earth and the waters, and all the spirits which serve before him, which are the angels of the presence of the Lord, and the angels of sanctification, and the angels of spirits of fire, and the angels of the spirits of wind, and the angels of the spirits of clouds, and darkness, and of snow, and of hail, and of white frost, the angels of voices, and the angels of thunder, and of lightning, and the angels of spirits of cold and heat, and of the winter, and of spring, and of autumn, and of summer, and of all. Okay. Okay. of which are all heaven and on earth. He created the bottomless pit, and darkness, evening and night, the light, dawn and day, which he has prepared in the knowledge of his heart. When he saw his works, we praise him and worship before him because of all his works. The 7 great works did he create on the first day. On the second day, he created the sky between the waters above and below, and the waters were divided on that day. Half of them went up above the sky, half of them went down below the sky that was in the middle over the face of the whole earth. And this was the only work God created on the second day. On the third day, he commanded the waters to pass from over the face of the whole earth into one place, and dry land to appear. The waters did as he commanded them, and they receded from off the face of the earth into one place, and dry land appeared. On that day he created for them all the seas according to their separate gathering places, and all the rivers, and the gathering of the waters in the mountains, and on all the earth, and all the lakes, and all the dew of the earth, and the seeds which are sown, and all sprouting things, and all fruit bearing trees, and trees of wood, and the garden of Eden, in Eden, and throughout. These 4 great works God created on the third day. On the fourth day, he created the sun and the moon, the stars, and set them in the skies of heaven to give light on all the earth, and to rule over the day and the night, and divide the light from the darkness. God appointed the sun to be a great sign on the earth for the days, and for Sabbaths, and for months, and for feasts, and for years, and for Sabbaths, for years of the Jubilees, and for all seasons of years. And he divided the light from the darkness for uh, prosperity, that all things may prosper, which sprout and grow on the earth. These three kinds he made on the fourth day. And on the fifth day, he created great sea monsters in the depths of the waters. For these are the first things of the flesh that were created by his hand, and the fish and everything that move in the waters, and everything that flies, the birds and all this kind. So I want to shed a light on something, because of people always talking about this, when the Sabbath day is, when it starts and all that. So verse 9, we know in Genesis 1, is darkness over the whole face of the world. The Lord of hosts, Yahweh, and the Lord of hosts comes in Genesis 1 and 2, and the whole earth covered with water is darkness. So look what he say right here, verse 9. Okay. Okay. It says in verse 9, God appointed the sun. Check it out. He appointed the sun to be a great sign on the earth for days, right? And for Sabbaths, for months, for feasts, for years, and for Sabbaths of years, for jubilees, and for all seasons of the years. But check this out. And it, what is it? The sun. See that? And it, the sun, divides the light from the darkness, for prosperity, that all things may prosper, which sprout and grow on the earth. These three things he made on the fourth day. So he created the sun, and it divided. The sun divided the darkness from the light. So can't have one without the other. A day is part darkness, part light. Sun doing it. So 11. On the fifth day, he created, 12. And the sun arose above them to make them prosper. And the sun, see there he go again. The sun arose above them to make them prosper. And the sun arose above everything that was on the earth, everything that sprouts out of the earth, and all fruit bearing trees, and all flesh. He created these three kinds on the fifth day. On the sixth day, he created all animals of the earth, and all cattle, and everything that moves on the earth. After all this, he created mankind. He created a man and a woman, and gave him dominion over all that is in the earth and in the sea, and over everything that flies, and over every beast, and over every cattle, and over everything that moves on the earth. and over the whole earth, and over all this he gave him dominion. He created these four kinds on the sixth day, and there were altogether 22 kinds. He finished all his work on the sixth day, that is, all that is in the heavens and on the earth, and in the seas, and in the abyss, and in the light, and in the darkness, and in everything. Okay? And he gave a great sign, the Sabbath day, that it should work 6 days, but keep the Sabbath on the seventh day from all work. All the angels of the presence of the Lord, all the angels of sanctification. These two great types of angels he has told to tell us to keep Shabbat with him in heaven and on the earth. And he said to us, look, I will separate to myself the people from among all the people, and these shall keep the Sabbath day, and I will sanctify them to myself as my people, and I will bless them. And I have sanctified the Sabbath day, and do sanctify it to myself. Even so will I bless them, and they shall be my people. I will be their God. I have chosen the offspring of Jacob from among all that I have seen, and I have written him down as my firstborn son, and I have sanctified him to myself forever. And I will teach them the Sabbath day, that they may keep the Shabbat on it from all work. He created in it a sign, in accordance with which they should keep the Sabbath with us on the seventh day, to eat and to drink, and to bless him who has created all things, as he has blessed and sanctified to himself a particular exclusive people among all people, and that they should keep the Shabbat together with us. He caused this commands to rise up as a sweet odor acceptable before him all the days. There were 22 heads, representatives of mankind, from Adam to Jacob. 22 kind of work creations were made until the seventh day. This is blessed and holy, and the former also is blessed and holy. And this one serves with that one for sanctification and blessing. Jacob and his offspring were granted that they should always be blessed and holy ones of the first testimony and law, even as he sanctified and blessed the Sabbath day on the seventh day. He created heaven and earth and everything that he created in the 6 days. And God made the seventh day holy for all his works. Therefore, he commanded on his behalf, whosoever do any work on it shall die, and that he would defile it. He who defiles it shall surely die. Because of this, commands of the children of Israel to observe the day, that they may keep it holy, and not do any work, and not to defile it, as it is holier than all other days. And whosoever profanes it shall surely die, and whosoever does any work on it shall surely die eternally, that the children of Israel may observe this day throughout their generations, and not be rooted out of the land. For it is a holy day, and a blessed day. Everyone who observes it, keep the Sabbath on it from all his work, will be holy and blessed throughout all days, as we are blessed. Say, declare and say to the children of Israel the law of this day, that they should keep the Sabbath on it, and that they should not forsake it, the error of their hearts, and that it is not lawful to do any work on which it is not suitable to do their own pleasure of it, and that they should not prepare anything to be eaten or drunk on it, and that it is not lawful to draw water or to bring in or take out through their gates any burden which they had not prepared for themselves on the sixth day in their dwellings. They shall not bring or take anything from house to house on that day, for that day is more holy and blessed than any Jubilee day of the Jubilees. On this we keep Sabbath in the heavens, before it was made known to any flesh to keep Sabbath on the earth. The Creator of all things blessed it, but he did not sanctify all people and nations to keep Sabbath, but Israel alone. Them alone he permitted to eat and drink and keep Shabbat on the earth. And the Creator of all things blessed this day, which he had created for blessings and holiness and glory above all days. This law and testimony was written to the children of Israel as a law forever to their generations. Okay, so that was chapter 2. Any comments or questions about anything you heard? Read? Okay, everybody good? Y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we're
Okay,
good. I'm good.
okay. So,
Thank you.
right. So with that, I read out of the Book of Jubilees, with chapters 1 and 2. I also referred everybody to the Song of Moses. Uh, it'd be decent, good to read that with the understanding that it's a prophecy. The Most High told Moses all that was going to happen to the Israelites before they even, when they was at Mount Sinai, all that they was going to do. So check that out.
What is it
So
again?
Psalm Deuteronomy 32, Song of Moses.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. So with that being said, somebody had something?
Yes, sir. I just want to just clarify it in my head that when he was saying that the Gentiles will turn and they will go to a new God, um, and worship a new God. And what came to my mind is the New Testament. So
Right,
it's that JC for the new God, saying that he's the Son of God.
That's true.
right, exactly. And like I said, they got a book that's out called 16 Crucified Saviors. So he's talking about them too. JC's is the last one. But you had Caesar was a god. You had Dionysus. All of them did the same thing. They turned water into wine. Those are characteristics. Like he said, that's how they made a god. He turned water into wine. He was born by immaculate conception. All those are characteristics that Gentiles and the heathens, that's how they make a god. JC, the last one. Horus turned water into wine. Horus taught in the temple at 12 years old. So when he came, he Johnny come lately. A Mithras, born in a cave, star came shine in the sky. All this, these are these newly raised up gods after Israel was cast out. The land of Israel, all these gods came up because they had our scriptures and they seen our methodology and all that, how we dealt with our God, our terminology and the way that we done things, and that's how they took that and they made the New Testament. So
Shalom. Yes, sir. So by everybody being domesticated for these years from first grade or from kindergarten up to college, we continue to go in the old way of what our ancestors were taught to believe in and trust in. So now they're feeling that we are so brainwashed that along with those mega churches and that we will not learn what is the truth.
exactly,
With some knowing that we are learning the truth, and so they're gonna hoodwink the ones over there that they brought Christianity to um, the parts of Africa. So now they've done that to them, bringing it over there and saying they're going to feed them and they're going to help them. And this is what we're thinking Christians do because we are here in the United States watching what they show us. And they're showing us the worst parts of Africa, not the part that where they go and cities are running with hot water and everything. They showed us that. So here we are. Yes, Christ is good. He's helping people. And then the mega church are telling us that that's what's going on. And when we get to that point of, well, now we are at that point of learning the truth, seeing what's going on. And they took that word woke and tried to turn it on us, seeing that we're woke, but we're woke, but not. They're trying to make it a bad thing.
Right. Yes, it
Yeah.
goes back to Deuteronomy, bywords. It's sarcastic to them. But like I said before, it makes no sense whatsoever. Why this is happening? Why would we turn all of a sudden after all that happened to us? Our forefathers didn't do it, so why would we all of a sudden turn to the Old Testament? After all they done, because it was like Moses said, he had been prophesied.
It's time.
And one thing that I want to say is, man, that you can actually Israelites are so lost. A lot of Israelites are so lost or so brainwashed that you can actually show them in the Old Testament, show them who the Redeemer is, and show them and go through all that, and they can actually see it. But it's like they're scared to give up white Jesus.
Right, exactly. Right, it's a sight job. Oh yeah, now your job is to get to him, because the day after that, the Most High is his job. He the one that's going. He said, I just read it. He said, I'm gonna return to you in the latter days, and I'm gonna strengthen you. So your job is, is to break it, to break it down and show it to him. Being the Most High, his spirit and everything go to work after that. Everywhere, anybody you come in contact with, it's not no chance. It's not chance. The Most High wrapping this thing up. Like I say, you come on Prophets of Awakening and hear the information. It ain't no chance. It's not by chance. Most High at work. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, it's two baskets to feed. So if you go to let me read that, because I thought I was thinking about that the other night. I said I don't think that a lot of that's not really registering with people. But let me read that again in Jeremiah, right? And you got to understand this part right here and apply it. So let me get it. Jeremiah 25, I think it is. Yeah. So, and then you can even apply what I just said. The reason why he had Moses to sing the song to them. See what I'm saying? Now he sung the song. You gotta let that ferment. So anyway, 24, Jeremiah 24. It's only 10 verses. So it says, the Lord showed me, behold, 2 baskets of figs were set before the temple of the Lord. After that, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had carried away captive Jeconiah, the son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, and the princes of Judah, with the carpenters and the smiths from Jerusalem, and had brought them to Babylon. Now here you go. One basket had very good figs, even like the figs that are first ripe, and the other basket had very knotty figs, which could not be eaten. They were so bad. Then said the Lord unto me, what seest thou, Jeremiah? And I said, figs, right? Good figs, very good, and evil figs, very evil, that cannot be eaten. They are so evil. Keep that in mind, right? Then 4. Again, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, thus says the Lord God of Israel, like these good figs, so will I acknowledge them that are carried away captive of Judah, whom I have sent out of this place into the land of the Chaldeans for their good. So apply that to us. This was during the time of Babylon, but when Antiochus came, it was good figs and bad figs. He acknowledging a righteous fig, like I said now. He bringing this information to you. That's the whole purpose of this AI and all this. And he wrapping it up. And he using all this social media stuff for they good. Okay. So anyway, it says 6. For I will set my eyes upon them for good, and I will bring them again to this land. That's what getting ready to happen to us. And I will build them. I will not pull them down. I will plant them. I will not pluck them. And I will give them, we just read this, I will give them a heart to know me. He's going to give our heart. Give us a heart to know him, right? That I am the Lord, and they shall be my people, and I will be their God, and they shall return unto me with their whole heart. So he's going to give them a heart. That's why you just do your part. He going to give them the heart. When the truth comes to, when you bring the truth, he already gave them a heart. It's going to register. But so then it says, 8, and as for the evil feed, which cannot be eaten, they are so evil. Surely thus says the Lord, so will I give Zedekiah, the king of Judah, and his princes, and his residue of Jerusalem that remain. See, he didn't even take them to Babylon. He took the good feed to Babylon. He left the wicked feed in Jerusalem. That's just the start of it. He separated them first, just like Lot and Abraham, right? And then it says, verse 8, as for the evil feed which cannot be eaten, they are so evil. Surely thus says the Lord God, so will I give Zedekiah, king of Judah, and his princes, and the rest of Jerusalem that remain in this land, and them that dwell in the land of Egypt. I will deliver them to be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth for their hurt, to be a reproach. Check it out. To be a reproach, a proverb, a taunt, a curse in all the places whether I would drive them. Now watch this. And I will send the sword, famine, pestilence among them till they be consumed from off the earth that I gave unto them and their fathers. He ain't just punish them, and then he came back and gave them a heart to know him and brought them back. He punished them until he drove them and then he annihilated them. That's what's giving. It's 2 baskets. You got to understand that. So when a wicked ass feed, it's not for you to get all bent out of shape because you come across a wicked ass feed. It's as simple as that. You do your job. Keep moving. Any more comments? Anybody got any questions? Okay. So with that being said, say shalom. See everybody tomorrow at 8 o'clock for our we'll be reading through the Tanakh. Shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
Yeah.
Shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.